Welcome back to the Metabolic Compass podcast, where we recalibrate your biology and rediscover your direction. I'm your host, Brandon Soika, and if your nervous system has been stuck in survival mode, this episode is for you. Maybe you feel like your brain is always on, but your body's dragging behind. Maybe you're snapping at your kids, canceling plans because you're too exhausted to be social, or wondering why you can't relax even when you finally get a break. That's not just burnout, it's nervous system dysregulation. Today, we're getting into the science of how this happens and, more importantly, what to do about it. You'll learn how your nervous system acts like the control tower of everything from digestion to hormones to healing. As always, if you haven't already, take 2 minutes to go to the metaboliccompass.com/quiz and take the drift quiz. It'll tell you exactly which compass domain is most disrupted in your biology and where to begin your reset. Let's dive in. The nervous system doesn't get nearly enough credit. We often think of it as the thing that helps us handle stress or danger, but in reality, it's the chief operating officer of your entire body. It regulates everything from how well you digest food to how deeply you sleep to whether your immune system responds or overreacts. Every system in our body takes its cues from your nervous system, and when the signals are off, everything downstream starts to drift out of sync. Let's break this down in plain terms. Your nervous system has two main branches. First, there's the sympathetic system. That's your fight or flight response. It's there to help you mobilize in the face of stress. It quickens your heart rate, sharpens your focus, and gets you ready to act. Then there's the parasympathetic system, which is sometimes oversimplified as rest and digest. But really, it's the mode your body needs to be in for healing, rebuilding, and restoration. There's also a third state that doesn't get talked about enough: dorsal vagal shutdown. This is the freeze state. When your system has been under stress for too long, whether emotional, physical, or inflammatory, it doesn't just stay stuck in fight or flight. It starts to shut down. You go from wired to numb, from hypervigilant to checked out. And this is what we see in burnout that goes beyond just mental fatigue. It's a full body misfiring of cues. You might feel wired but tired, mentally alert, but physically exhausted. Or the opposite. Foggy-headed with no motivation, even after a full night of sleep. You might feel hungry, but not have an appetite, because your gut is getting conflicting signals from your brain. You might have all the tools in place: supplements, workouts, meditation apps, but none of them feel like they're working anymore. This is what happens when your nervous system gets stuck in a chronic loop. It's not just overactive, it's inflexible. The real problem isn't just being stressed, it's losing your ability to shift gears when needed. Your nervous system is supposed to be responsive, not stuck. It should be able to rise to meet a challenge and then come back down. But in a burned out system, the dial gets broken. The stress signal stays on, or worse, the system checks out entirely. This isn't all in your head. Yes, it's your brain, yes, it's your body, but more than anything, it's your wiring. And wiring can be changed. So in this episode, we're going to talk about how to actually do that. Not with gimmicks or hacks, but with biologically sound tools that retrain your system to feel safe, flexible, and clear again. The nervous system isn't just about stress. It's the master regulator that tells your body when to engage, when to rest, and when to heal. But here's the real question. How do you know if it's burned out? You may not even realize your symptoms are being driven by nervous system dysfunction. Let's unpack what that actually feels like in real life. Let's get specific. Nervous system burnout isn't always loud. It's not always panic attacks or dramatic meltdowns. Sometimes it's quiet, creeping, subtle, but unmistakable when you know what to look for. It can feel like being fragile, not just emotionally, but physically. Like your body can't handle as much as it used to. Simple things knock you off course. A rough night of sleep, a stressful email, a skipped meal. You bounce back slower. You feel more easily set off. For some people, it's the overreaction to minor stresses. You spill coffee and feel like crying. Your toddler won't nap and your heart races. Someone criticizes your work and you spiral. For others, it's the underreaction. You go numb. You shut down. You can't find the energy to care about anything, even the things you used to love. Digestive issues often show up too. I'm not just talking about bloating or irregularity, though those are common. I'm talking about the gut becomes hypersensitive. Suddenly, you can't tolerate foods you used to. You feel gassy, inflamed, or nauseous for no clear reason. You develop histamine overload, flushing, rashes, postnasal drip, headaches, weird food reactions that come and go. Light and sound might feel overwhelming. Crowded spaces feel draining. Strong smells feel intolerable. You might get migraines that seem hormonal but don't follow a predictable pattern. Or you crash after meals, even when eating healthy. You have trouble focusing. You forget words. You can't finish a thought. And then comes the emotional drain. You stop planning for the future. You lose interest in things that used to motivate you. You wonder if maybe this is just who you are now. Maybe you're just lazy, or weak, or disorganized. But none of that is true. Your nervous system is just stuck in a protective loop, one that was designed to help you survive a threat. The problem is, when the threat never fully resolves, whether it's chronic stress, ongoing inflammation, unresolved trauma, or a lingering viral illness, the system doesn't shut off. It keeps running in the background, using energy, distorting signals, and eroding resilience. This is why so many people feel like they're falling apart when nothing seems obviously wrong on paper. They've had the labs, they've tried the supplements, they've tracked their sleep. But their system is dysregulated, not deficient. This requires a different approach. One based on feedback, one that rebuilds from the inside out, and one that starts not with performance, but with capacity. So if this sounds like you, if you've been swinging between overdrive and shutdown, between inflammation and exhaustion, know that you're not broken. You're experiencing a classic pattern of nervous system drift. And yes, it can be rewired. The next few segments are going to walk you through the most effective science-backed ways to do exactly that. So if everything we just described feels familiar, if you're living in a body that overreacts, underreacts, and never fully resets, know this, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not stuck. Here's the catch. Most popular advice doesn't actually work for this kind of burnout. Let's talk about why. People recognize something is off. They feel wired but tired, overstimulated yet underpowered, and they want to fix it. So they search for answers on Instagram and wellness blogs, through books and podcasts, and what do they find? Meditate more, do cold plunges, write in a gratitude journal, take magnesium, do box breathing, track your HRV, set boundaries, say affirmations, change your mindset. Now, none of these are bad. In fact, many are useful if your body is already in a regulated state. But when your baseline is dysregulated, when your nervous system is operating from a constant low-grade threat response, these tools often don't land. They don't reach the deeper circuitry that needs support. Let's take meditation, for example. For someone with a stable, flexible nervous system, meditation can enhance focus, reduce stress, and create more body awareness. But for someone in a state of hypervigilance or dorsal shutdown, meditation can feel unsafe. Closing your eyes can make your heart race. Sitting still can feel like being trapped. You walk away from the practice feeling like a failure, thinking, I can't even meditate right. Or take cold plunges. Yes, they can improve vagal tone if your system can tolerate them. But if your baseline stress level is already elevated, a cold plunge can feel like punishment. Instead of training resilience, it reinforces the idea that you're unsafe in your own body. Even journaling can backfire if you're stuck in a loop of intellectualizing your emotions but never actually feeling safe enough to process them somatically. Here's the real issue. Most wellness advice assumes your system is ready for the intervention. It assumes your baseline is strong enough to receive the stimulus and respond to it with adaptation. But when your body is already maxed out, when it's living in a constant state of red alert, those same interventions can become just another layer of stress. This is the trap of what I call the stack and push model of healing. You feel all, so you start adding more biohacks, supplements, protocols, routines. You push harder, you optimize, you control. But instead of feeling better, you feel more overwhelmed. You're stacking effort on top of dysfunction. You're trying to build a house on a cracked foundation. Nervous system healing isn't about doing more. It's about doing differently. It's about listening to the feedback, pausing to reestablish safety, doing less, but doing it with intention and attunement. This is why so many people who are high achievers, biohackers, or self-optimization junkies struggle with burnout. They're used to pushing. They've built identities around discipline. But the nervous system doesn't respond to pressure. It responds to permission. So if you've tried all the things and still feel stuck, it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means your body's asking for something entirely different. So if you've tried everything and still feel stuck, it's not because you're broken or lacking discipline. It's because your nervous system doesn't respond to force. It responds to familiarity, to rhythm, to safety. What you need isn't another hack. What you need is a rewiring window. Let's talk about what that means and how to create one. Here's the truth that most biohacks and mindset advice completely miss. The nervous system doesn't learn through willpower. It learns through pattern. You can't force your way back to regulation. You can't think your way into feeling safe. But you can teach your body what safety feels like by giving it consistent, low-intensity cues it can trust. This is the idea behind what we call a rewiring window. It's a dedicated period of time, short and gentle, where you create the conditions for your nervous system to feel something different, something stable, something that says, you're okay now, it's safe to downshift. Think of it like this. If your nervous system has been running from fire alarms all day, you can't just shout, you're safe, and expect it to calm down. You have to show it through pattern, not pressure. What goes into a true rewiring window? First, predictability. Your nervous system is constantly scanning for patterns. When your days are full of unpredictability, chaotic schedules, emotional whiplash, sensory overload, it keeps you stuck in a state of alert. Creating small anchors in your day, even if it's just doing the same wind-down ritual at the same time each night, gives your brain a rhythm it can rely on. Second, slowness. This doesn't mean you have to nap in a hammock or spend 30 minutes in meditation. It means offering your body cues that tell it we're not endangering. These cues work best when they're embodied, when they involve the senses, breath, and interoception. Let me introduce a few polyvagal-informed strategies that work beautifully during your rewiring window. Nasal breathing. Simple but powerful. Inhaling and exhaling slowly through the nose activates the parasympathetic branch of the nervous system, reducing heart rate and blood pressure. You don't need to overcomplicate it. Try a 4-6 breathing pattern. Inhale for 4 seconds, exhale for 6. Do this 2 to 3 minutes while sitting still. This alone can begin to shift your autonomic tone. Body scanning and felt sense orientation. This is not relaxation, it's reconnection. Take 2 to 3 minutes to gently scan your body from head to toe. Notice tension without judgment. Then practice orientation. Slowly turn your head and eyes to notice your environment. You're sending a cue to the survival centers in your brain that says, I'm here, I'm not in danger, I can feel the ground beneath me. HRV awareness. Your heart rate variability, HRV, is a window into your nervous system's adaptability. You don't need a fancy tracker to benefit. The act of breathing rhythmically and paying attention to how your body responds, especially when you extend your exhale, can begin to shift HRV in real time. HRV improves not just with deep rest, but with consistent micro-regulation. The key here is frequency over intensity. You're trying to create a new default setting, a baseline that feels a little safer, a little more stable day after day. So how long should a rewiring window be? Even 10 to 15 minutes a day is enough to start. The magic is in the repetition. Just like a song that gets stuck in your head after hearing it on repeat, your nervous system begins to internalize these cues over time. That's when real change happens. Not from the most intense interventions, but from the most consistent ones. Even when you create a rewiring window, you've slowed things down and started sending new safety signals, you still need to support the system with inputs that shift your biology. That's where we go next. Let's talk about the tools that truly work and why. In the world of wellness, it's easy to get distracted by trends, tools that promise big results but leave you more burned out than before. When your nervous system is stuck in survival mode, not everything works. In fact, many popular health hacks can make things worse. So in this segment, let's narrow in on what actually works and, more importantly, why. We're going to skip the gimmicks and focus on tools backed by real physiology. These aren't about numbing out or temporarily relaxing. They're about retraining your system to return to a state of calm responsiveness. Let's start with one of the most powerful and underused tools for nervous system regulation: non-sleep deep rest, or NSDR, and yoga nidra. These practices aren't just guided meditations. They're specifically designed to shift brainwave states into a kind of waking sleep, helping your brain and body enter the same repair state you get during deep sleep without requiring actual sleep onset. NSDR, popularized by Stanford's Dr. Andrew Huberman, uses intentional breathing and body awareness to calm the mind. Yoga Nidra, sometimes called yogic sleep, is a structured protocol that guides you into progressively deeper states of awareness. What do these actually do? They downshift the cortical load, the overactive thinking, analyzing, and worrying that keeps your brain stuck in gear. By doing this, they allow the parasympathetic nervous system to take over and initiate restoration. Even 10 to 20 minutes per day can improve HRV, reduce cortisol, and enhance neuroplasticity. Weighted blankets. This might seem too simple to be effective, but the science is compelling. Weighted blankets apply something called deep pressure stimulation, which has been shown to increase serotonin and oxytocin while lowering cortisol and heart rate. This mimics the calming effect of being swaddled, hugged, or held, primal signals of safety that your nervous system understands deeply. If you're someone who feels jumpy, restless, or like your body can't settle at night, using a weighted blanket in the evening or during NSDR practice can be a game changer. Glycine and magnesium. When your nervous system is dysregulated, your brain chemistry is too. That's where these two nutrients come in. Glycine is an inhibitory neurotransmitter that promotes sleep onset and reduces body temperature. It's been shown to improve sleep quality even in people with insomnia. Magnesium acts as a natural calcium blocker in the nervous system, calming excitatory neurons and promoting parasympathetic tone. Both are simple, accessible, and effective. Taken in the evening, often 30 to 60 minutes before bed, they help the brain transition out of task mode and into recovery. Sunlight and circadian cues. This might surprise you, but nervous system regulation starts in the morning. Why? Because circadian signals, especially from light, help calibrate your body's stress rhythms. Getting natural sunlight in your eyes within 30 minutes of waking helps reset the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal HPA axis. This boosts daytime alertness, stabilizes cortisol, and most importantly, improves your nighttime readiness for rest. In short, good light in the morning equals better downshift in the evening. L-theanine and taurine. Both of these amino acids work by enhancing GABA signaling, the main inhibitory neurotransmitter in the brain. L-theanine, which is found naturally in green tea, promotes alpha brainwaves, relaxed alertness, and counters overstimulation. Taurine helps modulate calcium channels and supports GABA receptor function, making it valuable for people with sensory overload, anxiety, or overstimulation from noise and light. Used together, often in the afternoon or early evening, they create a calm baseline without sedation. What not to stack during nervous system repair. When you're feeling low energy or unfocused, it's tempting to reach for the strongest tool in the shed. But if your nervous system is already fried, stacking more stimulation only deepens the burn. Here's what to avoid during this phase. Overstimulating nootropics like high-dose caffeine, yohimbine, or racetams. Hard fasting or intense caloric restriction, which spikes stress hormones. High-intensity workouts that drive sympathetic tone instead of lowering it. None of these tools are bad, but timing is everything. When you're rebuilding regulation, you need to downshift before you can accelerate. But even with the right tools in place, NSDR, glycine, magnesium, sunlight, there's still a bigger question to answer. Where does this nervous system work fit inside your bigger biological map? Let's bring it back to the compass. Sometimes it feels like your nervous system is the only thing that's broken. You're overstimulated but exhausted. You're snapping at your kids but don't have the energy to answer a text. Your digestion's off, your focus is gone, and every little stressor feels 10 times bigger than it should. But here's the truth. Your nervous system isn't a standalone system. It's the messenger wire between everything else. And when it starts to fray, that miscommunication ripples across your entire biology. Let's talk about where this fits inside the metabolic compass and what that tells us about where to begin. Nervous system drift spans multiple domains. Unlike some symptoms that are easier to categorize, like a sluggish liver and nurture or muscle loss and strengthen, nervous system burnout doesn't sit neatly in one box. It's most commonly associated with nurture drift, where chronic stress, trauma patterns, physiology, or inflammation has left the system on constant high alert. And withdraw drift, where the signal clarity itself is broken and the body has started to tune out cues altogether. But we also see nervous system issues crop up during energize drift, especially when burnout leads to metabolic inflexibility, low dopamine tone, and disrupted circadian signaling. In reality, the nervous system is like the fiber optic cable that carries messengers between all compass domains. When it's working, your biology flows. When it's frayed, you start to lose trust in your own body's cues. That's when things get really confusing. You feel hunger but don't want food. You feel tired but can't sleep. You want to move but feel like you're wading through concrete. You don't need to fix everything. You need to restore signal clarity. And here's where most people go wrong. They try to fix every symptom instead of stepping back to ask, why are my signals crossed in the first place? You don't need a supplement for every flare-up or a routine for every symptom. You need to quiet the noise, restore your baseline safety, and rebuild from there. This is what we mean when you say, you're not broken, you're out of sequence. The goal is not to do more. The goal is to reestablish the right sequence so that your biology starts working with you again. The drift quiz shows you where to start. If this episode resonated with you, if you see yourself in the overreaction, the exhaustion, the misread cues, then this is your invitation to take the drift quiz. The quiz isn't just about symptom labels. It's a diagnostic compass helping you figure it out. Where your system first went off course, which domain is currently drifting the most, and how to build your personal reset plan based on order, not willpower. Maybe you need to start with nurture and restore safety. Maybe withdraw has become your dominant pattern and you're shut down completely. Or maybe your energized system needs support, but you've been skipping the basics. The drift quiz gives you clarity, and from that clarity, you can rebuild. So now that you understand how nervous system drift can weave through every compass domain, the real question becomes, where do you begin? Let's wrap up with a practical check-in and give you your next step forward. If you've been stuck in a state of burnout, overwhelm, or numbness, this is your reminder you're not broken. Your nervous system doesn't need to be hacked, shocked, or pushed harder. It needs to be heard, held, and slowly retrained. This isn't about willpower, it's about biological patterning. And you can begin restoring that pattern starting today. One of the most important things you can do right now is to figure out where you are in your system's sequence. Is your nervous system dysregulation coming from an inflamed gut, an overloaded immune system, classic nurture drift? Is it more about metabolic rigidity, poor fuel signals, and dopamine burnout, classic energized drift? Or have you moved into the free zone where your body has started to ignore inputs entirely, withdraw drift? The easiest way to find your biological GPS is to take the free Compass Drift Quiz. You'll answer a few quick questions, get instant insight into which domain is currently drifting, and receive a personalized 2-week reset to begin restoring that domain from exactly where you are. Go to themetaboliccompass.com/quiz and take it today. If you're ready to go deeper, we've got something big coming. We're about to release full 10-week Compass reset protocols for each of the 4 domains: nurture, energize, strengthen, and withdraw. These will be fully guided digital experiences with daily strategies, scientific insights, and practices that build in the right order, based on your system's readiness. And yes, each one will include nervous system rewiring protocols tailored to that domain's unique biology. Whether you've done all the biohacking and still feel stuck, or you've never felt safe in your own body, these resets will meet you where you are and help you recalibrate. Make sure you're subscribed to get early access. In the next episode, we're digging into one of the most misunderstood crossroads in root cause health. Is it your gut or your mitochondria? You'll learn how to tell which system is causing your fatigue, inflammation, or mood issues, and why choosing the wrong path can waste months of effort. So stay tuned for episode 32, Gut versus Mitochondria. how to know where your symptoms are coming from. It's going to change how you think about healing. Until then, go take the drift quiz at themetabolic-compass.com/quiz and give your nervous system the signal it's been waiting for. We'll see you next time. You've been listening to the Metabolic Compass podcast, where we bridge cutting-edge science with real-life application to help you reclaim your health one directional shift at a time. To learn more, visit us at www.themetabolic-compass.com or follow us on Instagram and TikTok at The Metabolic Compass. And if you haven't already, leave a review. It helps others find their way back to alignment too. Recalibrate your biology, rediscover your direction.